see you back. We missed you. All right. Everybody good? All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Definitely missed you guys over the bye weekend. But glad to see everybody back and ready to go for this week. And it was a good bye week. I know we talked last Wednesday. I thought our guys really did a nice job in how they approached the work. I thought they had two really good practices. We were physical, tough. Got a lot of good speed against ones-on-ones, twos-on-twos, trying to get a lot of situational work. Some of the things we look back in the bye week of just areas that we have to improve. I know we talked about the conversion downs in the last two games have really hurt us. It's hurt our overall snap counts. I think right now we're the lowest per game snaps offensively. There's twofold of that. I think we've had on average about 11 explosive plays a game, so we've been explosive. We've had a little bit over 35-plus yard plays per game offensively. So we've seen the explosiveness. We're seeing some of the positives. But ultimately we got to do a better job of third down conversions. Continuing to extend drives, and then defensively, obviously we got to do a better job of getting off the field in those situations. I thought we. Did a good job there in the second half of last week's game, but we've allowed more extensive drives that have kept us on the field more than what we need to be. So we got some of that work there last week, continuing to emphasize our red zone. I think it's been one of the overall strengths of our team. Doing a good job when we get down there, really on both sides of the ball. And then, just continuing to work fundamentals, technique, and, pushing to get better. And, guys came back last night. It was, they got, we gave them a few days off. You got good rest, you got good treatment. We're going to have a chance to get a couple guys back here this week. I know Keem Dent did more last night. I feel very confident in where that could go as the week progresses. Obviously, we got to see how that plays out. Rob Scott, I think, is getting close. We'll see ultimately what that's going to be this week. I feel more confident than what I had the last few weeks of what that is looking like coming back. No Deuce Spann missed the last game. We had a last few weeks of game weeks. We dealt with some sickness that was going around. Really as much around the community. So we had a couple guys that have missed games just due to that. But I think everybody's in a good spot as we head into this game week. So excited to see our guys continue to work. I thought last night was good, like I said, and there's a sense of urgency for us to get back on the field and to go play our best game. We want to put together a complete game. This Virginia Tech team that's coming off a great performance. They were dominant against Pitt. Really did an outstanding job of running the football. You saw toughness, you saw physicality. You really liked the quarterback. What he was able to do. I mean, he's a big kid. I think he's close to 200, almost 30, 200. 40 pounds. There. I mean, and he's got the right mindset and how to play it. They did some direct quarterback runs with him. That's going to be a big part of what they do. But the running back, the offensive line did a nice job there at the line of scrimmage. You saw toughness. It was put on display, and then they showed some of the explosiveness to be able to throw the ball down the field. And it presents a challenge for us, but defensively it's a very well coached team. Obviously we know Chris Marv, defensive coordinator, Coach Pry. Obviously that's his background and all that he's done and all the success in his career. I mean, very sound, aggressive attack style defense in what they do, and so a lot of movement with their guys up front. They were disruptive last week. And then obviously in special teams, I mean, this is a program that's known for great special teams play, and that's going to be a big battle for us. But as we go into this week, we're continuing to focus on us and just going to be the best Florida State team that we can be, and continuing to grow as we move through the season.
It seems like at least in a couple of these games early this year, teams have tried to control the clock and keep your offense from getting on the field. Are there things you guys could do defensively besides just executing better to kind of force the issue and kind of expedite that process to get the offense back on the field?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously creating takeaways. Getting third down stops. I mean, those are those are the biggest things that we've had a big point emphasis in, and you look at the first 2 games, and that was something we did really well. And at the end of the day, when you have teams that we have an explosive offense, we got good players, and it's something that I've seen throughout my coaching career. Whenever you're going against different opponents, some will try to control the clock, and obviously that's something that has shown up. But we play a role in that as well. I mean, like I said, we got to get off the field and we get opportunities, and we got to sustain drives. The offensive part of it, as we went back, I think we still be better on 3rd downs, but we've also we've been as good as we've been, on 4th downs. I think we're 7 of 9, I believe, and we really had a couple situations where we had conversions, but due to a self-inflicted issue, a penalty, we had a bad alignment there last week that hurt us. But I mean, I think we're executing at a high level in those situations, so we have been able to do that. But just we can still be better, and it's come down to creating takeaways, and then obviously being able to get off the field in those conversion downs as high a percentage as we can.
With the 3rd down conversions on offense, are you guys finding that you're in a lot of 3rd and longs, or is it? I guess it's a common theme of what's happening.
And really for me, my mindset over the last few years, I think I might have mentioned this last week, is what are you doing on conversion downs? Ultimately, if you have a 3rd and 8 and you get 6 yards to a 4th and 2, and then you convert on a 4th and 2, that is a positive set. You did what you needed to do to put yourself in that situation. Yes, everybody wants to get if it's 3rd and 8, you want to get the 8 yards, but ultimately there's times that you can have that type of thought process, and we're gonna continue to push, and we want to convert over 30% or 50% of the time that you get in those cash down situations. So if you're 3rd and 4th down, if the 3rd down helps you to get a 4th down conversion, then ultimately that's still a positive play in our thought process. So we've been good. We can be better, and that's ultimately just the mindset, the approach of what we're trying to take is, man, is go execute to the best of our ability. Let's eliminate the mistakes. Let's make sure, and you got to give credit. We played a couple good defenses in those situations that have forced us, and then we've had some mistakes in those situations. And so those are things that we just got to be able to have better execution, but then also make sure that as a coaching staff we're continuing to develop plans that help put our guys in the best situation possible.
2-part question. You guys obviously want to establish a run this week. I think Virginia Tech allowed 38 yards last week to Pittsburgh. What do you guys need to do to get the run game going? And what did you see that they did last week to kind of limit Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of attacking, on their defensive front. Linebackers. You look at their team. I mean, they're big. They get great length, speed. They really fly around. On the defensive front, they're going to move, and there's twist games, stunts, blitz, all different things, and they were very impactful. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a challenge for us. We're coming off one of the lowest rushing performances that we've had since we've been here, and you got to give credit to a good job by our last opponent, but also there were a lot of opportunities that we went back and were able to see where it's just a tiny detail, a fundamental, making sure that we're taking the proper steps, put ourselves in the right position, to go and be what we're capable of. But every week we want to establish a run, and but we're also going to take what the defense gives us, and that's something that we've got to be able to have a balance. But it's going to come down to what I want to see is I want to see us go out there and with our technique, fundamentals, and communication, go out there and execute the way that we can. And from where we go from that, as long as it's the best we can be in that situation, then I've got confidence that we'll get back on track. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a team that they're going to force a lot of 8-man front. They're going to try to get those hats down. They're going to always try to have +1 in the run game. So you got to do a good job of making sure that you execute, that you do a good job play with your eyes, and then obviously quarterback just taking what they're giving you in those situations.
With the run game, are you guys seeing teams consistently try to take away Jordan as far as like read option stuff? Are they committing to that?
I mean, they're teams that count for Jordan. I mean, if you don't, it's going to result in pretty good plays. And I thought there was a couple times, we had run pass option there a few times in the last game where really in Jordan's hand to what he sees, and there was probably a couple plays where he could have got some yards there on the run. Took an opportunity with the pass, and didn't work out for us as well. But we're going to continue to make sure that we present options. And I think if teams are accounting for Jordan, that's going to create more space for us in the in the run game. And obviously we got to do a great job up front. Everybody's got to handle their man, their responsibility. But if Jordan is always a threat, there's some times that we're going to be smart on just how much we are trying to run him. He's coming up. I don't think it wasn't a secret that he was dealing with kind of playing a little bit banged up there. And I thought he showed great toughness, and there were some runs that we did have with him. But there's I'm also going to be smart with him too. And so he's definitely feeling good. The bye week hit for a good time for him. And so excited to see him back out there, and we'll see what this game plan and obviously how the how this matchup kind of plays out on how much they're accounting for him.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the Virginia Tech quarterback. I think he had over 20 carries in the Pitt game. What does another dual-threat quarterback present challenge-wise for the defense going in this game?
Well, I mean, we faced one a few weeks ago that that hurt us, and ultimately it was he did a good job. They had some design quarterback runs, that got out on us, and so I'm sure they're going to look at a lot of those things. And he's got a strong arm. I mean, he can throw it all over the field. I think he had a big 60-yard touchdown pass that was placed perfectly to one of his big receivers. I mean, this is a team that can present challenges for what they're doing. I thought that they're coming off their best game. You'll hear this last week. They kind of got into a rhythm. They were able to attack the Pittsburgh front, and we're creating some movement. And the quarterback, I mean, he is a tough runner. I mean, he's not one of those guys that's just looking to get a few yards. I mean, if he gets an opportunity, he's gonna try to run over you. And you see that toughness. You saw that put on display, and it's definitely you gotta come with all you have. And then when you get there, man, we got a lot of garnet jerseys that are tracking with you to make sure we get these guys down, because they do run tough.
You talked last week about how the defense in the second half seemed more aggressive, made Clemson react to you instead of the other way around. Is that, I mean, I think I know the answer to that. Is that something moving forward you want this defense to be? Like, not wait until halftime, not wait until a team establishes something, come out of the gate making the offense react to you.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't always come down to blitzing. And that's one of those things that, when you say and how you attack, it's playing with confidence in what you see and what you react. I mean, obviously there were a few things that we saw that were different. They did some quad sets and just different things you got to react to, and kind of get into the flow of the game with where that went. But I want to see our guys, yes, go out and absolutely play with confidence, attack. Being able, whether that means pressures at times, whether that means just rushing for and still just the how we fit, how we communicate, and the sense of urgency which we play, is important. I thought in the game, against Clemson, I thought we did a good job of stopping the run, there early. They got one that got out, there later, but I thought we did a good job in that. But we still had some things that, we had to clean up there in the back end, that got us. You did a good job with getting their backs out. We did see some things that we thought we could expose, and I thought were some good adjustments that were made that allowed us to be more aggressive there in the second half. But we want to have that mindset regardless. And that's one of the things we talked to our team about. We got to come out and start fast. And I think when you look defensively, that's that's got to apply, because we have not started games well here really in the first three. I mean, I know we had the goal line stand in the opener that was big, but still there was a couple plays that allowed them to get down into that area of the field. But we got to come out and we got to start games obviously faster on that side, and if we do that, I've got a lot of confidence in what it will look like.
Because of the injuries up front, you guys have had to work some different combinations on the offensive line, and some of these guys are new to Florida State. They've been here for months, but first few games. Has this first month given you a better idea of like what each guy can do and maybe how to best use their strengths?
Yeah, absolutely. And really we've played 3 guys up front that are newcomers, and you get and they've shown really good. And then there's been times that we've had some areas that we have to get better. Bless Harris has done a good job there, on the left side, in place of Rob Scott, and really he's been here for a good amount of time, but he missed all of last season, and so really getting his first true extensive games, game reps. That's actually another one that you still count in. Now we have a 4-game, kind of pool of examples of what we've done, at a high level and things that we got to improve upon. It's good that we're getting, we got Maurice back in the last game. Obviously, hopefully getting Rob back into the fold, and now you add that, that talent, that experience, and really just a combination of a better understanding of what our guys can do, and trying to put them in those best situations. But yeah, it's all about building from that, and having guys that are more confident in some of the combinations and some of the, just the fundamental aspects of what we do up front, how they have to work together, and just being able to react maybe just half a step quicker than what we did. Because it's all good, in some games where maybe that slightest step does not get exposed. When you're playing really good people, when you play teams that attack, it's gonna show up, and that's where we go back and look at it, and we've had some opportunities. We just got to be better, and I think with last week and what we were able to do, and then obviously coming into this week, another more time and a better sense of our guys, I think that's definitely going to help.
It sounds like you expect Virginia Tech's defense to be pretty aggressive. I wonder with you as a play caller and a guy that's trying to play the chess match, maybe they're aggressive against other teams, but you have to figure out, okay, how are they going to defend us, because not everybody has Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. How much does that go into like your game planning for a week, and what we've seen on film might be different because they haven't faced an offense quite like what they're about to see on Saturday?
Yeah, and that's always that's the the plan A, B, C. What are you going to see? How does somebody, what are they looking at to think of, what's the best way due to their with their talent level or with their schemes, how they want to try to defend you, and then what are the adjustments throughout. And so I love that part of it, and it's always it's a weekly battle for me. It's you look at them, but then what are the things that they have shown schematically? And for me, I go back years. Just looking at different things to try to help best prepare our guys. And if it's not A, then we kind of move on to B, and then if it ever gets beyond that, even last week we spent a lot of time, or the last game, we spent a good amount of time preparing for something they'd shown 2 years ago, different coordinator, but just because of the potential of what we thought we might see, and showed up a little bit, but it's just that's always a one of those the great debate of where you're working through it, but it also takes those in-game adjustments and being able to adapt to what you are getting throughout.
You mentioned Deuce returning this week. We saw Ja'Kai on the depth chart this week. Getting that full allotment of wide receivers, I guess, how can that help you guys in terms of matchups and rotation?
Yeah, well, it's Ja'Kai. He practiced last night. I think what that workload is going to look like. But we're definitely excited about getting him. As he's getting back, Kentron is one that we've missed too. That was he's been out for the better part of this season so far, and having 2 guys that were pushing to be starters, and Ja'Kai started a lot of games here. Kentron's made a lot of great plays here. We've been down a few guys now. Others have stepped up, and I think we played at a good level there. But man, I'm excited to see those guys, get out on the field, and I think they're going to continue to build to our depth and to the playmaking ability that we have, and definitely excited to for what they're going to bring here as we continue on in the year. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.
For the rushing tag against Clemson, I know that's not the standard that you guys want. I guess how close do you feel like you guys were to maybe having more sustainable explosive drives, and I guess what needs to get cleaned up moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of credit to Clemson. Man, they did a good job. They had an experienced front, probably two of the best linebackers in the country. When we had a chance to hit them, we got to hit them. We missed a couple of those opportunities there. I was just talking to Mo Smith in the hallway not too long ago. He was saying, Mo keeps me, he tries to keep me positive. That's his job. And he told me, he said, well, Coach, last year, we rushed a lot for him and we lost. And this year we rushed none and we won. I said, I'll talk to him later about that. But it was good that, we got the win. But no, we got a lot of, when we do get it blocked up and it's clean, we got to hit them. And when it's not, we got to make sure we're finding a good thing to, what they can do. We're playing with some new guys with Blitz Harris, who only started one game last year. Casey Roddick, who's new, Keandre, JB, Darius, who primarily have been taking all the reps at center. So I want to use him at different positions, but when you're training a center, it's not like you can just rotate him in practice. He has to be locked into that position. So I think with guys getting back healthy, with Rob making his, have a possibility to come back, Mo being healthy, so we're back to kind of that normal rotation we had at the beginning of the season, kind of getting close to that. I think that'll give us, a little bit more of what we're looking for, but they got to improve greatly. And we also got to do a good job of finding what they do well, because sometimes I get comfortable with what I like, and I got to make sure I'm doing what they do, what they like, what they can do, and what they're capable of. So the self-scout in these last 4 games have been very heavy.
Staying on the run game, last week, first 4 weeks, Virginia Tech kind of struggled against the run. Last week against Pittsburgh, they allowed 38 yards. What did they do differently, and how do you want to attack them?
I think fundamentally what they did was they tackled well. They didn't miss many tackles. And they were able to penetrate the front a little bit. I think Pitt is having some trouble up front with some injuries and things like that too, so that takes accountability of it also. But in the end, man, as you watch the defense, as they're going out through the season, they're getting better. What you should is what we're looking for. We have the results we want, but there's still a process of improvement. So I think they're tackling better. They keep it very simple. Now they got some things that could give you some problems with some wrinkles, but for the most part, you don't see major missed assignments and things like that. So they're doing a good job of playing sound football. They're tackling well, and when they make tackles, they can make it tough.
On some of the you guys had to take a lot of shots against Clemson the way they were playing. When those don't hit, I think a lot of times we look at the quarterback. Can the receivers be doing more to help Jordan on some of those? I know Keanu and Johnny made some great catches, but they also didn't come up with some.
And we're going to do that. We don't, of course, we want to hit them all every time we throw one. And it's always something different each time, whether it be the defense, what they present, they play it well, whether the receiver can do a job of separation, or with Jordan timing and protection also. So I think, our identity on offense, we're going to take shots and we're going to push the ball down the field just because we got the talent to do it, and we got a quarterback with a big arm. And when they hit it, it's good. When it's not, we got to also find that consistency on the next down and still make up for it. But we don't shy away from taking the deep balls or the shots based off percentage. I mean, we'll keep doing it. You saw in overtime, we still did it where possibly that was second and long, where we possibly could have been in a third long situation, but we still took the shot. So we believe in those guys to make the play, so we're okay with, whatever the result is of us taking those deep shots.
Going back to the run game, Trey talked about last week how you guys were, close to finding a groove in the rushing and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, getting close. Do you feel like the group is getting close to having kind of a breakthrough moment and kind of establishing the identity? I guess, do you feel that something's coming on in that sort of sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, credit to some of the defenses we played, too. Clemson's a strong front. So, I don't want to make sure that I'm discrediting them at all. And they stopped us, number one. But also with us, I think Trey is referring to, we had a couple of times to hit him. And we kind of missed those opportunities, whether for any reasons, whether it be us, whether it be O-line, whether it be back, whether it be whatever it was. But I think that's why the closeness is coming, because when we slowed it down and watched it as a whole group, you see the development of it. And now we got to do a better job of creating space and finishing the runs and making sure we're not tackled by the first guy. But the opportunities are there. We just got to take advantage of the opportunities.
Coach Norvell talked about converting on third downs. What do you have to, is there anything you have to do differently, or is it getting shorter downs, or just just converting them, and going on executing? Yeah,
we went and looked at all of them. With the bye week, we had a little bit of time to evaluate it all, every play call, every detail, all of it. And what we found is, execution is number one. We've had some times where maybe we had a missed assignment or a drop or, a protection error, whether it be O-line or back. But all the things we talked about, it came down to execution. So we think we're on the right track of what we're doing, and we just got to execute at a high level. And that's a part of getting better throughout the season. We want to make sure that we're getting better as we go. Now, we're thankful for the results and the wins, but there's still so much more improvement, and you want to be playing your best ball toward the end of the season. And I think we got a chance, and our players, coming back and watching this practice. Yesterday we practiced last night. I felt that coming back, because you're always worried. You win a big game, get a bye week, get some time off, and you come in on a Sunday night, and they attacked it. And we try to make it forcibly uncomfortable. We work things that we might not have worked in a while, just to make that mental sharpness and test it to make sure they're mentally sharp, and they did a good job. So I think they're optimistic and they want to get better, so I think we'll be fine.
You had mentioned newcomers on the offensive line, or kind of having revolving pieces. Not that I know it's not an excuse for you, but you guys to have this data point of 4 games now, and then have the bye week. I guess how helpful is that for you to get, context for them, what these new guys can do, for them to go back and see what they didn't do, that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, extremely helpful, because when you have, for example, Darius was the primary center, Casey Roddick first time starting for the nose. I'm rotating Meach, then he's rotating with Keandre, JB, then Darius still playing multiple spots. It's not they're doing what we're asking them to do. It's more of me of understanding what are they doing well, and make sure I'm highlighting that and not using what I've probably done in the past that's had a lot of success, and what are they doing well, and make sure I'm highlighting what they're doing well. I think that's more of the balance of it. I'm going to coach them hard. We got to block all that, all the normal stuff you're going to have. You can watch any football game. You got to do stuff better. But what are they doing well, and what can I do to put them in better position to showcase their talents, whether it be whatever scheme it is, and understanding that, doing a better job of putting them in better position.
Coach Norvell mentioned the possibility of getting Kentron and Ja'Kai back soon. I guess what could that do for the offense?
Man, just depth and totality. Those are good players. Ja'Kai's made a lot of plays in Doak Campbell and on the road, man. So many moments flash into my head of him, man, having some game-breaking times even from the first year. I'm having some really good plays. So it's always good to have him back, and he's been in good spirits. The equipment staff has literally had to steal his shoulder pads from him every week because he wanted to go out there a little bit too early. So he's chomping at the bit. So I'm very excited to see him out there in practice this week. And Tron also, man, Tron has made a lot of plays around here too. So, and that's the balance I have to make always. You know, we're always looking for improvement, but I'm glad we've been able to showcase some other guys. You know, maybe this might not be going, but I'm glad to see Keon making plays. You know, I'm liking the other guys, Jaheim making some plays. So, you know, I know it's going to come for the backs, and I know it's going to come for the other guys, but with Tron and Jakai, and that make it, you know, a little bit deeper, and man, it's a really good group of receivers.
Also, when you have an explosive offense and other teams are trying to keep you off the field, does that create a challenge in terms of guys wanting to do too much or pressing a little bit? And have you seen that, or has that not been?
Yeah, whenever you get limited opportunities, guys want to make plays, you know, and that's a part of it. But in the reality of it, we just got to be efficient. You know, whether they're trying to keep the ball from us or not, if you're efficient, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're efficient and you're not wasting drives or wasting time, you execute at a high level, you know, they better be just as efficient. So that's the balance of it. I mean, they can attempt that, but as long as we're efficient, you know, you still got to score. You know, you still got to, you know, win drives and win and put it in the end zone. So I think our efficiency is rate when we get in the red zone, when we do get the first down. I've liked what I've seen from the offense, but at the end of the day, we got to just execute and be efficient no matter what they're doing. I'm pretty sure coaches alluded to how the big picture as a whole team, how that works together to keep us on the field. So, man, we got to push the tempo a little bit more, probably play a little bit faster, and have do a better job on third down. But, you know, efficiency is the number one.
I know Jeremiah played a lot of football before he got here, but maybe, you know, level of competition, the level of stress, whether it's playing in these sort of environments, how confident are you that he's learned the lessons he's needed to these first 4 games, and we'll maybe see a different kind of performance out of him moving forward?
Yeah, I haven't had much of an issue with JB. I think that gets blown out of proportion a little bit. I mean, he's still young. He's still learning the system and things like that. But I didn't walk away from the game disappointed with Jeremiah Byers. He's been fine. He had some mistakes there in the game where he, you know, ducked his head in protection once, and I think that was the one. And then one we probably held on a little bit too long. We were trying to convert a long third yardage, which happens. We gave him some assistance, but he still ducked his head on it. But I've been pleased with Jeremiah's progress and how he's been doing moving forward. I think what happened was he came in and played at a better level, so his expectation level is higher, you know. But I look at it from the totality of, you know, I get to see him every day. But I've been pleased with what Byers is doing as far as progressing as we go. But no, that was a good player he went against. You know, that's going to be a part of it. But I also watched him go in that environment and not have any false starts, and still, you know, I know what I know what he's capable of and what he's going to do. But I have no disappointments. I got to coach him better in some of those situational deals, but he's been doing fine.
On that note, how proud were you of that group, the way they handled, you know, the crowd, that defensive front? And I know the rushing numbers aren't what they need to be and all, but just not having just, you know, some offensive lines crumble in those situations.
No, man, that's a really good front, and they're old, they're experienced, they're fast, they're long, they're strong. I mean, it was a good front. So what I was proud of was just the resiliency to keep playing, you know, because I thought Blitz did a really good job in protection. I thought Mo coming back that week, because he still was kind of banged up from the week before, and coming in and having a solid performance. I was able to get Keandre and Meach on that rotation, which was good to keep them rotating. So just to maintain poise in the environment, because there were some moments in there where we could have started doubting or disappointment and despair. Like I used the deal when I took JB out at the end and I put Darius in, that was more for the athletic matchup of that person. I knew Darius could do that better, but also Darius had to primarily work at center that week because Mo was still kind of iffy. So he didn't have a lot of reps at that position, but, you know, he's a vet, so I trusted him in it. And he still, when he got in there, had some times where I could have, you know, snatched him up. But that's why I went there. And the first person that really brought that up was JB. Like, that's what I love about that unit is they know how to find a way to win the game and play better at the end and trust each other. So I'm really pleased on where we are, and I can't wait to see us keep moving forward.
Coach, I know you used a lot of 2 tight end sets in prior years, but it feels like you mentioned showcasing other players in the roster. It feels like you're showcasing Jaheim, Kyle, even Marquiston a little bit more. I mean, what have they kind of shown you, and then what's the next step for those guys too?
Just versatility. You know, we didn't shorten the playbook with those guys, and some of them just, you know, got here. They've been here, you know, one spring, one summer. So being able to use them in different positions where guys can get a tip and still block and still pass game. I mean, we put a lot on that tight end plate. We put a lot on that position. whether it be in the box or outside the box. They're asked to do what a tackle can do and what a receiver can do. And then you rotate multiple guys in there by situation. So I've been pleased because we've been able to use them in multiple spots and kind of still get the screen game going, still get the vertical pass game, and still get them involved in the run game, whether it be cut off backside, so leading on front side plays, man, being attached and things like that. So once again, game 5 coming up, we should be able to start doing more and more with those guys, but I'm pleased at where they are now, and as we continue, I think it's going to get better.
What does Robert Scott mean to you guys up front? I don't think he's ever really going to be close to probably 100% for you guys, it seems like, but just, I mean, I guess him just being out there, how important is it for you guys? How different does it make things for you?
Rob's a vet, and you got to remember Rob, Rob started pretty much, since he's been around here. Him, when you talk about continuity, him being next to a guy that just got here is very valuable too, because then that would put him next to Casey, who just going through he's going through his 5th game as an O. So those little bitty intricacies that you might not cover, Rob has done it, seen it, been through it, so you can tell, and mid-drive adjustments and things like that. I mean, he's like having another coach on the field. That's kind of the cliche deal, but it is. I mean, you watch Rob in practice. I mean, even when he's not involved, he's involved, and motivating those guys. Even on Friday practice, I was proud of him because I really got on the guys on Friday just about some things that I wasn't pleased with within the walkthrough, and Rob was emphasizing those things that I talked about. So just another voice in the locker room that understands what it takes to win at Florida State. And sometimes that's not understood just based on they think, oh, I'm going to practice hard, man. It's so much deeper than that, and Rob has an understanding of that. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. How helpful was the bye week in terms of self-scouting, and did you guys spend more time on scheme thoughts or more on individual guys and what they can do?
I would say both. Once we got off that plane from Clemson that Sunday, it was very much just making sure all the data was in order so that we could dig through it on Sunday night into Monday. And I would say before we got back with the players, a lot of it had to do with just the data through the first 4 weeks, where we're at, what we were doing, what are the things that we can build off of. Defense is kind of like offense too, where, hey, these are the pictures we've shown. Let's make sure the pictures change up going into next week, and just, all that things that you do with all the information you get through the first 4 weeks. And then there was a big personnel meeting, because I think this, unlike the first several years here, we have a bunch of really good young players that aren't playing a lot right now. And so then what was the plan? Where were they at this point? What we can do to expedite, their ability to get on the football field, whether it's in the kicking game or on defense. So, that was kind of a synopsis of what went on early in that week last week.
Kind of following up on that, through 4 games, gone against some pretty good offenses. I know it's always building, but on defense, what do you think you guys are good at right now? Where are things that you take a look at and say we need to improve on these aspects moving forward?
Yeah, I thought, we went in the year making sure that we were going to be better in the run game in all ways, and I think minus a run here or a run there, you know what I mean? And I thought we've done a nice job of building walls and being better in that way. I think we've got to do a better job in the pass game, just of staying connected to receivers more. I think that can be definitely improved upon. I liked, there were different games of different focuses, of keeping some of these quarterbacks in the pocket. I thought, especially going all the way back to the LSU game, I thought our front really did a good job of just understanding what we were trying to get accomplished in that game and their execution of it. As you build on year to year, week to week, you put more and more on them, and just measuring, what's too much, what is allowing your guys to go play, and you're always, coaching is always about trying to put yourself in position to reflect with the fast forward button on, and that's kind of what we try to do. And I've got a good sense of what our guys do well. We got to continue to, double down on that, but also stay ahead of it, so that, offenses every time they line up have a little bit of this type of mindset to them. So I like the guys that we have, and I like the direction that we're heading, and just the urgency of what it needs to look like this week is just full throttle.
Because we and fans don't necessarily have all the information, but in a game like that against Clemson, where when you blitzed more, you had more success. Then the next question from our side is, well, why don't you blitz more? So what goes into those decisions, and kind of did Clemson do anything differently that you guys maybe either didn't expect or didn't believe would happen?
To answer your first question, I mean, if blitzing was always what was going to work, we would blitz every single play, and we have blitzers ready for each play, to be honest with you, whether they're in empty formations, unbalanced formations, condensed formations, four opens, and you have mindsets going into each game of, when we look at things, it's always like, okay, what's the matchup personnel-wise? Are there any tips or identifications in motions and splits and formation looks that you want to pressure those looks? Are there certain looks that you don't want to pressure? Are there certain times that you don't want to show a look, so then when that comes up again in a critical situation, they're not prepared for what you're going to do? So there's all those things. And there's times that we played a lot of coverage, there's times that we pressured a lot. I hope in both those instances they both work, and it's my job to continue to work through that and put them in the best situation, and that's the job every week, whether it's the first play of the series, whether it's the last play of the game, what is the scenario that we can put our guys in the best position that they can go play their best, and sometimes that has to do with Russian 4, sometimes that has to do with Russian 7, and all that stuff just goes into putting together a plan.
Specifically the Kalen blitz and fumble and touchdown, one, the significance of that play, like for you to see that happening, what was that like? And then two, I guess, what did you see maybe going into that play that allowed you, like, okay, we're going to do this aggressive field side blitz?
Well, that whole series, that was I don't even want to say a back and forth game, but obviously it was at a critical moment. But we had done a really good job in the run game, and they hit their first big run, over a 30-yard run on a counter play. Then Jared comes back and answers it with a TFL on just a base look. And so we got him a 2nd and long and plus, you know what I mean? And so there had been a few of their, throw games that took a little bit longer to develop, per se, in some of their route combinations. So it's something that, it's just some pressures that we feel comfortable with, and what I was proud of is the communication that happened between Tatum, Shaheem, and Kalen on that play, and when you execute at a high level with good players, usually good things happen, and that was a big play, and it was a critical play. And, momentum is as big as the next play, but that was a really big one for us, and proud to see Fisk pass it to Kalen and make that thing work.
You guys have had stretches in every game where you've kind of been dominant. Even the Boston College game, you went on a 28-0 run. They had 5 drives. They didn't do anything. LSU, you shut down for the most part. Clemson in the second half, you shut down. Is there a common theme to why that doesn't start from the start of the game? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like you struggle to start the game, you find your footing, and then you can take control of the game. Is there a common theme to, is it just teams doing things you haven't seen on film to start a game that you guys get your footing later as the game goes on?
You know, I think, Corey, you know, we always want to start fast, you know, and, you know, there are some, you know, games that we've started faster than others. I mean, you look at how the season started, you know, and that was the opposite of the way, you know, big play, but then you go down and you stand up. What my message to the guys has been through 4 weeks is what I really appreciate is when we've needed you, and we've needed you at times, you know, as a defense, when our backs have been against the wall, we've played our best. That's great, right? Let's play our best when we're not near the wall, you know, and, you know, it's taken a lot of work to get that mental toughness and that belief and that fortitude that whether it's a goal line stop or whether it's a critical third down or whether it's in the fourth quarter or whether we got to go create a takeaway and score, whatever that all is, really happy that we have that to us because that's an important trait. Toughness, mindset, ability to respond, all those things. You know, how do we create, and I use the word urgency, you know, but how do we create that constantly? Because we try to do it here in practice. We do it in meetings, you know, it just, you know, in some of those games, you know, sometimes, you know, there are some good players you play against and they make a play, but you never want to take a knee to that. You know, you want to force the action. You want to make sure your guys are always the aggressor. You want to make sure you tackle well coming out of the gate, you know, all those things. And, you know, I go back to some of the Friday practices that we've had, and some have been better than others, and that's a continued push for me to connect what we're doing out there and what we're doing, you know, on that game field. But I do appreciate this when we've had to make an adjustment, whether it's a tackling, whether it's pressuring, whether it's how do we play certain sets, our guys do listen, you know what I mean, and they do respond. We just want to create that for 60 minutes.
Renardo's done a lot of good things. Obviously, that third down stop was huge in overtime, but then also I thought the moment where Shipley got the best of him on a carry, and then the next play, man, he just came up and laid the wood to a big dude. What's it like been watching, see him play?
Yeah, Renardo's a great competitor. You know, he really is, and I think he's got confidence in coverage right now. He's always been a good run supporter. You know, that's why we played him at safety a little bit, you know, early in his career. But, I mean, he's really good in run support. You know, he's been a really good one-on-one cover guy this year, and he's somebody we have a lot of confidence in, you know. But that was a big play, you know. I mean, I think that running back at Clemson's one of the better in the country. You know, he's a ferocious runner, and he breaks a lot of tackles. But, you know, there was one run fit that was absolutely textbook and it was multiple people, and the ball just bounced out to our unblocked player. And we talked about building the wall and what it needs to look like, but that free player's got to go tackle like that, and Renardo did it, and got a lot of confidence in him.
I don't know how much like pre-scouting you do. I'm not going to ask anything that bad, I hope, Coach. You know, how, I guess, far in advance do you scout an opponent? Virginia Tech came into the season with a different, you know, Grant Wells, I guess, was going to be their starting quarterback, and they've gone to the Kyron kid. Does that affect a lot of the sort of preparation you had, or does it throw a wrench in the plans, or do you not look that far ahead, like 4 weeks ago, like this is what we're going to see 5 weeks from now against Virginia Tech?
Yeah, there's a lot of summer pre-study that you do, especially with uncommon opponents. But even with guys that you've played for 4 years now, you're still doing some pre-work in the summer. And listen, coaching is maybe like your profession. You do a lot of groundwork underneath the surface, and you could study something for 45 to an hour, and you find something that falsifies the information, you just move forward, you know, and that's just our profession. You know, you're constantly trying to find tips, clues, you're trying to find an edge. And you can't get frustrated when it comes up and you find a reason why it won't be an edge. You just drop it and you go to the next topic. And so, you know, personnel changes, quarterback changes, you know, we've gone through that here. And, you know, I think they pretty much settled it in on why they made the quarterback change. I think it was due to an injury early, but I think they have a lot of confidence in how that game's played especially the last 4 quarters.
What would if when Akeem is available again, and what will that do for the secondary?
Well, it's a guy that's been almost a 3 to 4 year starter, so I mean, it will just continue to build playmaking and depth and competition, you know. And just whenever he is back, it still doesn't take away the urgency for this younger group of DBs. We got to continue to push that, and it's human nature when you're a young player to come in and all of a sudden you don't play a lot in the first game, and you get not frustrated, but just kind of set in the way of, okay, is this the way the rotation? And our message to them is the rotations, as much as we want consistency, and we'll lock into a consistent rotation, but we're trying to find reasons to involve people. And so just the opportunities, whether it's on special teams, whether it's just out there on the practice field, of making sure, regardless of who's available that has played here in the past. We've had guys that have come back as returning starters that have gotten beat out. We've had guys that came in true freshmen that have taken starting roles. So, Akeem's definitely somebody that's played a lot of football for us, somebody that was playing good football, and we look forward to getting him back at some point. But the urgency of improvement for all players are still out there. Thanks, guys.
Hey, JP. We haven't talked to you since the Clemson game. It seemed like Jared was very impactful. What did you see from looking back at the film of that game?
I really thought, that was probably his best overall game that he's played since he's been here. And, obviously some of the passing statistics aren't going to reflect that, but I did think he was impactful in terms of his pass rush. But the way he played the run was definitely the best that it had been since he's been here in terms of being impactful, but also doing his job within the defense. And I think, he went into the game with a mindset, of doing whatever he had to do for the team to be successful. And I thought he played really hard, and I thought he played really well.
On the missed field goal by Clemson, did they feel pressure differently from you guys from something you did earlier in the game, or what did you see on that play specifically?
I was probably a little bit cautious on the first field goal attempt, just, with them having a new kicker situation. We were very fake aware on the first field goal attempt. But on that field goal attempt, I didn't think a fake was necessarily something that would have a high likelihood of happening, so we went a little bit more to a traditional outside block. But I don't know that it was that had a big impact on it. I think he just pulled the ball a little bit. But I do know we got some pretty good pressure with Renardo off the edge. Whether that impacted it or not, it's really hard to say. But obviously, critical play in the game.
I think you've addressed a little bit before, but the good moments keep compounding for Ryan. For him to keep responding based on what he did last season to have this year, I guess, how rewarding is that for you as a coach to see that happen?
Well, Ryan's done a great job this year to this point. And I think he's handled everything like a pro. Whether it was when he wasn't hitting the ball as well a year ago, and really towards the end of last year, I thought he really did a nice job of responding. And I think that's just kind of carried into this year. And and he knows, though, you're one kick away or one game away from people being back on you a little bit. And I don't think he worries about that. I think he's going to go out there and do the best that he can possibly do. I know he had a really good off week in terms of just getting back to some things he wanted to work on. And, I know he's primed to have a good second half of the year.
Alex Mastromano, especially in that fourth quarter, had a couple of good punts that pinned him deep. How much does that help? How much do the defensive players go over to him, say good job, and how much does that matter?
Oh, that was huge. I thought Alex did a great job for us. He was able to flip the field over a couple times, especially that punt that was late in the game that we were in our own end zone. I thought he hit a great ball there. If he doesn't, he's going to set up a pretty short field position for them. I thought our coverage was really good, and I think our guys recognized it. As a matter of fact, Alex was our special teams player of the game within our own team last week, and it really came down to how he operated and how he was able to affect the field position in the game.
Your guys' role up front, defensive ends, going up against a quarterback like Drones. It seems like they're running almost like triple option concepts. It seemed like what sort of challenges that? Is there more of a spotlight on you guys to be that much more fundamentally sound?
Yeah, I think anytime that you play a mobile quarterback, there is the point of emphasis in terms of everybody being able to execute their role and responsibility, especially in the design quarterback run game, which you're referencing. Everyone's got a job. Everyone's got to fit their gap. Everyone has a role and responsibility, especially when the quarterback starts running the ball. And it's really critical that we're disciplined in everything that we do, to make sure that we handle our role within the defense.
I was watching a game where I think they said there are over 70 punters in Division I football from Australia. I mean, that's become like a pipeline now, a cottage industry, really. Does Master Romano have you talking to other people out there? Is that just what you know what I mean? Does he have obviously has some connections in that country?
Sure.
Does he have some connections for who's going to replace him?
Well, his coaches that kind of facilitated some of that recruitment are the ones that I talk to. I'm sure he has a pulse in terms of who else may be good players, but not something that he and I generally engage on. But we'll have to make some decisions when that time comes. I really like Max Cimento, who's on our team now, as when Alex has graduated and stuff. So we'll see kind of where that goes. It's a little bit early on in that process, but I guess the thing that the Australian player brings to the table is just multiplicity and how you punt. The roll punts both ways. Now you see more and more guys kicking with both the right and left foot. So it does add an element to your strategy when it comes to punt, and also adds a little bit of a challenge to your punt return as well.
On the place kicker, just as a position, do you watch these? I mean, I assume when you watch some of these other games, the Duke Notre Dame game, obviously the Clemson guys had this situation. It seems like these kickers, I mean, when they have these misses, it's so magnified. Like how big of a part of that is just handling, like you said, the way Fitzgerald has handled his situation. Like they all can kick, or they wouldn't be on these teams. But handling that, how difficult is that?
No, I think that situation, those moments that you're referencing, those are high pressure, high leverage situations, and you got to be in them to enough times in your career probably to be comfortable with them. I don't know that anyone's ever totally comfortable in those moments, but I think Ryan's done a great job of responding both positively to positive moments and to moments that were negative, and just continue to focus on the next kick. But you're right, there's a lot of games where that's what it comes down to, and and we talk about it all the time as a team, as a program, as a staff, that you got to play every play, because you never know which one is going to be the one that directly impacts the game, and a lot of times it's those kicking situations that do, and you got to be ready for when your opportunity presents itself.
With obviously with Fitzgerald winning the kicking competition, Keltner was involved as well. When you guys get in a game like Southern Miss where you have a blowout, is there consideration of giving Keltner opportunities as well, like when some of the backups go in?
It depends on the situation. Like in that game, we did play Max Cimento as a kickoff guy in that Southern Miss game to get him some reps and some opportunities. It just depends. I mean, there may be a situation where that comes up at some point in the year, but especially that early in the year, I was really looking just to try to keep Ryan in rhythm. Wasn't really looking to make any adjustments there, but we'll see as the season goes on whether that's something that could come up.
On in Clemson's last play, the pass deflection, was it Pat that got it?
Yeah.
And is that did you guys play that situation the same throughout the game, or did you have to adjust much? And how, I guess.
You know, in terms of that specific play, first of all, I thought Pat played really, really well. He was impactful on a couple plays where he's able to use his length, get his hands up, impact throws, made a huge stop the play right before the field goal that we forced on the quarterback runs. Pat really played well, and I thought he really played well in the fourth quarter. But in terms of that call, I mean, I thought Coach Fuller made a really good call. I mean, 4th and 2, you know, everything kind of happened real fast because went from 3rd and 1 to now 4th and 2. You know, thinking that they were going to come out and maybe run the ball on the 3rd down play, and then they threw it out on the spot screen, and then Coach made a great call. He went 0 pressure, brought double-edge pressure. Pat was able to get his hands up in a throw lane, knowing the ball was going to have to come out quick in that situation, and you know, thankfully we were able to make a play. And he needed all of that 6'5" frame and length to get a finger on it, but it was a critical play in the game, obviously, and you know, it was exciting to see him have that opportunity in that moment in such a big situation for the program.